Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, we'll share 3 traits of the great competitor.
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
We both love both sports and poetry. That's a lot of boths, Mary-Lynn.
Sports and poetry, you don't usually hear those things hand in hand.
No, I guess you don't necessarily think of like Mike Tyson quoting a poem, right? You know.
But I could see him doing it.
But today we're talking about this poem that's it's one of my favorites, and it reminds me of another one of my favorites, which is Casey at the Bat.
If you have never heard of Casey at the Bat, you can Google it. It's by Ernest Thayer, and it's a great read.
Yeah, and I just have to say the ending words I'll never forget. Mighty Casey has struck out.
It's a great baseball poem, I should say.
Yes, it was a baseball poem. So yeah. I've always been intrigued by that ever since. I mean, I was a really young boy the first time I ever heard that, and I just always have been intrigued by that poem. Hi, I'm George Kruger, a.k.a. The Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. Well, we're going to talk about another poem today. It's one of our favorites by the sports poet Grantland Rice, who enjoyed an incredible career, eventually becoming known as the Dean of American Sports Writers.
Yeah, and he knew all the great athletes of his time, Knute Rockne, Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, Red Grange, and more. And Mary-Lynn, before you say something, I was not alive for any of these. So, you know, this is before my time, but I still know who all these people are.
Well, they're the greats, right?
That's right.
And Grantland Rice also wrote this amazing poem called The Great Competitor. We're going to read that for you today. And we're also going to pull out the professor's whiteboard for 3 traits of the great competitor.
Mary-Lynn, I feel like I've been in a boxing competition with that whiteboard, and it beats me every time.
Let's get ready to rumble!
There you go.
All right.
It's a rumble for sure.
George is going to rumble with the closet.
All right.
So we are going to share this wonderful poem with you today, along with 3 traits of the great competitor. So first, let's read The Great Competitor by Grantland Rice.
Beyond the winning and the goal, beyond the glory and the fame, he feels the flame within his soul, born of the spirit of the game.
And where the barriers may wait, built up by the opposing gods, he finds a thrill in bucking fate and riding down the endless odds.
Where others wither in the fire or fall below some raw mishap, where others lag behind or tire and break beneath the handicap,
he finds a new and deeper thrill to take him on the uphill spin, because the test is greater still and something he can revel in.
Man, Mary-Lynn, I get like chills up my spine from this. I guess I just love the spirit that he portrays in these words. I can picture this person. You know how it feels to be the great competitor.
But this person is the entrepreneur.
Exactly right.
You think that you've defeated this barrier, and then another one appears. But do you back down? No. You're even more empowered and willing to go after it. And so it really is. It's the entrepreneur who just doesn't give up.
Yeah, and I just remember I was saying Casey at the Bat, and the final line I'll never forget is Mighty Casey has struck out. Well, the final line of this poem, you've just alluded to it. It's just, and something he can revel in.
Right.
And, it's so interesting how positive psychologists tell us that we find more fulfillment when we face challenges, as opposed to when things are easy, which is what we'd like. But we face the greatest personal growth from facing those challenges, and that's what propels us to victory.
Absolutely. So now let's look at 3 traits of the great competitor based off of this poem. And on the professor's whiteboard, trait number 1 is great competitors have a burning desire.
Burn, baby, burn.
So, and from the poem, beyond the winning and the goal, beyond the glory and the fame, he feels the flame within his soul, born of the spirit of the game.
Yeah, and I think it's so, what I love about this and this burning desire thing, it's just, for great competitors, competition goes beyond the winning. It goes beyond goal achievement. It goes beyond fame and even fortune. It's all about how you can improve your body, your mind, your soul, and your spirit as you compete.
Yeah. And for the entrepreneur,
Exactly.
why do you put yourself up against all of these odds? Because there's something that you want to do. There's a way that you want to make the world a better place, and you're willing to fight to make that happen.
Yeah, so I think
you've got a burning desire to do it.
It is. And Mary-Lynn, we haven't used that term around here for a long time, and it's so important. It's one of, if you've ever read a book by W. Clement Stone, we call him the paper boy who became a billionaire. He talks about a burning desire. It's one of the critical traits of success is to have this burning desire.
The fear of not trying is worse, right? The
Exactly.
idea of not trying is worse than trying and failing if
Yes.
that's what happens. So trait number 2 on the professor's whiteboard, great competitors are relentless fighters. And again, going to the poem to prove the point. And where the barriers may wait, built up by the opposing gods, he finds a thrill in bucking fate and riding down the endless odds. Where others wither in the fire or fall below some raw mishap, where others lag behind or tire and break beneath the handicap.
Our good friend Jim Bouchard often reminds us, he says, what do you do if you get knocked down 7 times? Get up 8.
Yeah.
Now what do you do if you get knocked down again? Well, get up again.
Yeah.
That's the secret of the great competitor is they just won't go down on the mat, or they just won't settle for defeat. They're going to get back up and try again.
And George mentioned that Jim Bouchard is a friend of ours. Well, Jim Bouchard is a Hall of Fame martial artist. So when you talk about getting knocked down and getting back up, he knows all about that.
Yes, he does. And the thing is, great competitors, great opponents, I want to keep saying. Great competitors won't go down until they've expended every single ounce of energy and every effort that they possibly can muster. And then you know what? They'll try again. They'll try once more and be thrilled about it. See the next trait.
Okay. That's a cue. All right. The next trait on the professor's whiteboard. 3 traits of the great competitor. Number 3, great competitors rise to the occasion. And then when we close out the poem from Grantland Rice.
On an up note.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Because we were just talking about he's down, he's not, there's all of these opposing factors just bearing down on this great competitor, but he finds a new and deeper thrill to take him on the uphill spin because the test is greater still and something he can revel in. Or let me just say, or something she can revel in.
There you go, Mary-Lynn. Great competitors find joy in the struggles, male or female. Right?
Well, wait a minute, though. Can I just say,
yes.
As an entrepreneur, I don't necessarily find joy in the struggles. I'm willing to fight because I care about what we do, but I don't exactly revel in them.
But the win is more meaningful when you struggle.
Okay.
There you go. See,
so
that's really the reality.
I revel in the eventual win. I don't revel. I'm not joyous while I'm struggling.
Right. You notice that we don't really know whether the great competitor won or lost in this poem.
That's
we know
true.
We know that he or she rose to the occasion, but we don't know that they won.
That's a good point.
In the Casey at the Bat poem, we know he lost. We know Casey lost. But in this poem, we don't know. And that's the whole thing, is you don't know. You don't always win. In fact, you lose more often than you win. And it's those few wins
that matters.
With all the things that go with it that embolden us, that help us grow, that make us more outstanding.
That's very enlightening, Professor.
So great competitors they find joy in their struggles. And as I mentioned earlier, I think this is so important, we'll repeat it, Mary-Lynn. Positive psychologists tell us that when we're looking for a life of meaning, there's more meaning in a life where we struggled than in a life where things have just been easy for us. Now, I know that's hard to believe, especially if you're in the struggle.
Right.
But trust me, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel that vindication, that validation, that victory is going to be all that more special if you face some struggles along the way. And we all do. That's the reality. We all do. We lose more often than we win. That's the reality. You just got to really enjoy those wins. And the thing to understand here, too, is where does the growth occur? The growth occurs at that outer boundary of what we know. Most of us today, we don't work with our hands. We work with our minds and our fingers and, typing and stuff. The point is, growth is out here at that outer edge of what we know. And we start getting in and pushing ourselves to what we don't know. And that's the great competitor, because I got to do better. My time was 5 minutes in this last race. I got to do it in 4:58. And then I got to do it in 4:56. I'm constantly pushing myself to be better and to grow.
Well, this has been just a powerful review of a powerful poem.
Yes.
From Grantland Rice, the great competitor. So let's review the 3 traits of the great competitor that we pulled from this poem. And trait number 1 is great competitors have a burning desire. Trait number 2, great competitors are relentless fighters. And trait number 3, great competitors rise to the occasion.
Now, at the expense of sounding repetitive, but realize we learn when we repeat things, right? So what we have here in this wonderful poem is a formula for big success. Number 1, develop a burning desire for your work. Number 2, fight your way through all the odds. And number 3, be prepared to rise to the occasion. Now, it's not going to be easy, but that's what separates great competitors from the rest of the pack.
Or what we might say, that's what separates those with the entrepreneur mindset from those who don't have one.
Exactly, Mary-Lynn. The great competitors know it's the thrill of a lifetime, and it leads to big success.
Great competitors often compete in arenas. Want to find your arena of service? Take our free life purpose quiz. You'll find it at Big Success. That's big with 2 G's, success.com. And we hope you'll join us next time. We'll share 3 types of knowledge that lead to riches.
And we thank you greatly for listening to our show today.
Until next time,
here's to your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.